Here are 3 warning signs of a tooth abscess that you should never ignore. I'm a dentist and I see abscesses all the time. And the scary thing is most people don't realize how quickly they can go from just painful to genuinely dangerous. If you've got tooth pain, swelling, or just a strange pressure that won't go away, this video will show you the 3 biggest red flags to watch out for. And stay with me because at the end I'll explain when an abscess doesn't just threaten your tooth but can actually spread beyond your mouth. In fact, I've got a full video where I go into when an abscess becomes dangerous. I'll link that at the end. The first warning sign of a tooth abscess is pain that doesn't stay put. Now, a lot of people confuse this with regular toothache or even sensitivity, but here's the difference. With a cavity, the pain is usually sharp and triggered by something specific, like ice cream, sugary drinks, or biting down on one tooth. The pain usually fades away once you stop eating. But with an abscess, the pain becomes constant, throbbing, and much harder to ignore. Patients often describe it as a heartbeat in a tooth, a deep, pulsating pressure that doesn't go away. And it doesn't just stay local. As the infection builds and spreads, it pushes through the bone and the tissues around the tooth. And that's why you feel it spread into the jaw, the ear, sometimes even down to the neck. And it's not that the tooth all of a sudden has become bigger. It's that the nerves around the area are being triggered by the pressure of the infection that is building up like a balloon. And one thing I often hear patients say is, it hurts more at night. And that's because when you lie down, more blood rushes to your head, increasing the pressure in the area. And what feels like an annoying toothache during the day can turn into severe pounding pain once you try to sleep. And here's another subtle sign. Painkillers that used to take the edge off stop working as well. So if you notice that you need stronger doses or you're taking more tablets than usual just to cope, that's usually because the infection is outpacing your body's ability to manage it. Now, of course, not all spreading pain is dental. Sinus infections, ear infections, even jaw problems can mimic it. But the difference with an abscess is that the pain is usually tied to one specific tooth. Often, it already has a big filling, a cavity, or gum issues around it. And the danger is that the pain is often only the beginning. At first, it might feel like deep, throbbing pressure that just won't go away. And as the infection builds up enough pressure, your body starts showing it in ways you actually see it. And if you're watching this because you're already in pain and looking for relief, I also made a separate video on what you can safely do at home while you wait to see a dentist. But first, let's keep going because once the pain starts spreading, the next sign is something you can actually see. This is usually the point where people realize it's not just a toothache anymore, because unlike pain, which you can convince yourself to ignore, swelling is something you can see. Now, swelling can show up in different ways. Early stage, you might notice a small bump on the gum near the tooth. Sometimes it looks like a blister or a pimple, and that's what we call a sinus tract. Now, it's your body's way of trying to push the infection through the gum. And the moderate stage is when the gum looks puffy, the cheek on the side looks fuller, or the jawline looks uneven. And this is the stage where people finally book an appointment because it becomes visible to others. And the advanced stage is swelling that spreads to the face, under the eye, down the neck, and even under the tongue. At this point, it's not just a dental problem, it's a potential emergency. So, why does this happen? So, an abscess is basically your body's way of fighting an infection. Your immune system walls off the bacteria by surrounding them with pus, which are basically dead white blood cells, bacteria, and tissue fluid. It's your body's way of saying, stay here, don't spread. And the problem is the collection of pus builds up pressure, and the pressure has to go somewhere. So it pushes outwards into the gum, into the soft tissues, and that's why you get that visible puffiness. And here's something important I want you to remember. So swelling is never normal in dentistry. I often hear patients say things like, I have a blister on my gum. Every now and then it comes and goes, and it doesn't really hurt, so I don't really think much of it. And the same with swelling. I've had patients who come in and say, my cheek puffed up last week, but it didn't hurt, and it went down a few days later, so I assumed it healed. But here's the reality. Now, when a blister appears in the same spot again and again, and the swelling goes up and down, it's not healing. It's the abscess draining temporarily. So the infection is still there, quietly eating away the tooth and the surrounding bone, and every time it comes back, it's usually a little worse than before. And the location of the swelling also matters. If it's just in the gums, it's uncomfortable, but usually contained. If it spreads to the cheek, the jaw, it's a sign that the infection is moving through the deeper tissues. And if it spreads under the tongue, to the throat, and towards the eye, that's when it usually becomes dangerous because it can often interfere with your airway, with your vision. Oh, and by the way, if you find videos like this helpful, consider subscribing. I post every week, and it could save you from missing something important. Now going back into it. So here's the scary part. Once the swelling appears, the infection isn't local anymore. And that's the next warning sign when your body starts reacting. And that's when you know it has moved beyond a dental problem. And this brings me on to the third warning sign, which is when the body itself starts to get involved. So at this stage, the infection isn't just sitting quietly around the tooth. It's now spilling over, and your immune system is fighting back. So what can you actually be feeling? You could feel a fever. So this is usually the first and clearest sign that your body temperature, when it climbs up over 38 degrees Celsius or 100 Fahrenheit, means your body is trying to raise the heat to slow down bacterial growth. It's your body's natural defense mechanism, but when it's linked to a dental abscess, it's usually a red flag, and the infection is no longer local. Or you could feel fatigue and weakness. Many patients describe it like the flu coming on. You feel drained, your energy drops, or even simple tasks feel heavy. And because your immune system is diverting energy and resources away from your normal day-to-day function into fighting bacteria. Or you could have swollen lymph nodes. You may notice tenderness under your jaw or along the side of your neck. These are small glands that act like filters, and when they swell, they're often overloaded with bacteria and immune cells. In dentistry, this is one of the most important clues that an infection is breaking containment. Or you could be having a constant bad taste or smell. Some abscesses drain pus into the mouth. It can create a metallic or sour taste that brushing won't get rid of. And it's not just unpleasant, it's a sign of ongoing bacterial activity inside the gum or the bone. Now, here's why this matters. When you reach the point of fever, fatigue, swollen lymph nodes, bad taste, the abscess isn't just a tooth problem anymore, it's systemic. The infection has spread beyond the tooth and it's beginning to affect your whole body. In medicine, we call this systemic involvement. In plain English, it just means that bacteria from your tooth have crossed into the surrounding tissues, and in some cases, it could even enter your bloodstream. And once bacteria gets into your blood, the risk of serious complications goes up dramatically. Let me put this into perspective. I've had patients who've come in saying the pain went away after a few days, so I thought it healed. But all that really happened was that the nerve inside the tooth died. Meanwhile, the infection kept spreading silently into the jaw and the soft tissue, and by the time they noticed fever or swelling, it wasn't just about saving the tooth anymore, it was about protecting their airway, it was about preventing a hospital admission. This is why fever or feeling unwell is the turning point. If you're at this stage, it's no longer safe to wait. It's no longer about home remedies. It's no longer about waiting for antibiotics to kick in. This is when you need urgent dental or medical care. Because here's the danger. Untreated dental abscesses can spread into the deep spaces of the neck, the airway, or even the brain. That's rare, but it's also why abscesses are one of the few dental problems that can actually become life-threatening. So if you've had a toothache and then it's become swollen, and now you're feeling a bit feverish or you just feel generally unwell, please don't ignore it. It's your body sending the loudest signal that the infection has overwhelming your defenses. And let's recap also the three main points that we went through today. Persistent throbbing pain, visible swelling in the gum, the cheek, or the face, and finally, fever, fatigue, feeling unwell. If you recognize any of these signs yourself, especially the third one, that's your clue to act now. And in the next video, I'll break down the exact point when a tooth abscess becomes dangerous, when it starts affecting your breathing, or even your swallowing, or even your general health in ways you wouldn't expect. That video could genuinely be the most important one for you to watch. I've linked this down below. Thank you for watching.